Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, who was better as a rookie? Let's get right into it. We're going to compare these young quarterbacks, and we're going to take a look at 6 specific aspects of their game, tally the scores, and see who comes out on top at the end. We're going to compare their passing efficiency, pocket awareness, ball security, rushing efficiency, potential ceiling, and the eye test. Starting with passing efficiency and starting with Jets quarterback Zach Wilson. Zach completed 55% of his passes for 6.1 yards per attempt, a 9-11 touchdown to interception ratio, and a QBR of 28, compared to Justin Fields, who completed 59% of his throws, 6.9 yards per attempt, a 7-10 touchdown to interception ratio, and a QBR of 26. So even though Zach had a slightly better touchdown to interception ratio and a slightly better QBR, Justin Fields did average almost a full yard more per attempt, and 4 points higher in completion percentage is significant. So Justin Fields gets the slight edge for passing efficiency. He has a 1-0 lead on Zach Wilson. Let's see if Zach can play some catch up. All numbers provided by Pro Football Reference and thefantasypros.com. Moving into pocket awareness. This one's a little bit more difficult to judge by the numbers, but we're going to look at how often they were sacked, knocked down, and how many times that they fumbled on a per game basis and throughout the regular season. It's not a perfect number. Obviously, offensive line play comes into factor here, but quarterbacks who have a good third eye and a quick release tend to be lower in the numbers that we just mentioned. Let's start with Zach Wilson on pocket awareness. Zach was sacked on 10% of his dropbacks, knocked down 2 times per game, and fumbled 5 times throughout the regular season. Justin Fields was sacked on 11% of his dropbacks, was knocked down 3 times per game, and fumbled 12 times during the regular season. Fumbles are part of pocket awareness because if you feel the pressure coming, you're more likely to brace for impact and hold on to the football. Now, the numbers significantly favor Zach here, and he's going to get the point, so it's tied 1-1. I will point out, though, and you can't really measure this analytically, but Justin Fields was definitely more of a decisive runner than Zach Wilson. Was able to feel pressure and escape for more rushing yards, but the discrepancy between fumbles here, 12-5, is definitely going to put the pocket awareness in Zach Wilson's favor. We're tied 1-1. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, or maybe even consider hitting subscribe. Let's move into ball security. Zach Wilson threw 9 interceptions in 13 games. 2.9% of his passes were picked off. We just touched on fumbles. He fumbled 5 times in 13 games, and per fantasyfootballpros.com, he threw an average of 7 poor throws per game. A poor throw being described as a throw that has a high rate of catch difficulty or is likely to be intercepted. So basically, yeah, just a bad throw, right? Justin Fields threw 10 interceptions in 10 games, 3.7% of his passes being picked off, and fumbled 12 times throughout those 10 games. And Justin Fields threw 5 poor passes per game. So it looks like the accuracy goes a little bit towards Justin Fields, but there's a stark difference here. The ball security is definitely in Zach Wilson's favor, almost a full percentage point lower in the percentage of his passes that were intercepted, and less than half the number of fumbles, considering Zach played more games. I think that was a really underrated part of Zach Wilson's game. You often see a lot of fumbles out of rookie quarterbacks, but he did a really good job taking care of the football. He also had that stretch towards the end of the season where he was playing relatively turnover free. So this one, again, is pretty easy. Zach takes ball security and now has a 2-1 lead on Justin Fields. Now, none of these are perfect numbers, so if there's any other stats you think I might be missing, go ahead and comment them below so we can add them to the conversation. Let's move into rushing efficiency. Zach Wilson, he ran for 185 yards over his 13 games, 14 yards per game, 6.0 yards per carry, and 4 rushing touchdowns. Justin Fields ran for 420 yards in 10 games, which comes out to 42 yards a game, 5.8 yards a carry, and 2 rush touchdowns. So Zach, slightly better yards per carry, double the amount of touchdowns, but for me, this one's not really close. Justin Fields is obviously a more skilled rusher than Zach Wilson, had more than double the rushing yards, even though he played less games. Zach Wilson is a good athlete, and I expect him to use his legs more next season, but he's never going to be quite the runner that Justin Fields is. That's no shade towards Zach. Justin Fields is just an exceptional athlete at the quarterback position. Justin takes rushing efficiency, and we are now tied 2-2. Let's move into their potential ceiling as quarterbacks. First, let's get this out of the way. Both of these guys' character and work ethic are a complete check, so we don't have any sort of Johnny Manziel or Jamarcus Russell worries about either of these guys. They're both legitimate pros, and they seem to have fallen in love with the process of being great. If you followed Zach Wilson this offseason, he looks focused, he looks committed. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. And Justin Fields, even from his days at Ohio State, is definitely a leader of men, so that checks out for both guys. Now, let's talk about their measurables. Zach Wilson is 6'2.5", 215 pounds, and he's a better athlete than you give him credit for, and he has an absolutely mutant arm. We didn't get to see it a lot this season because we didn't call a lot of deep shots, but man, Zach Wilson has a piss missile. Justin Fields, 6'3", 227, elite athlete. Dude looks good getting off the bus. He looks like he could play tight end. He has plus arm talent, can definitely make all the throws. So for me, even though Justin Fields, when you look at the two of them, you'd say Justin has the higher ceiling. For me, I'm going to call this a tie because Zach Wilson's arm talent, I do think, is significantly better than Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is slightly bigger and definitely significantly more athletic than Zach. So this is a tie. So right now it is a 2-2-1 tie, and the tiebreaker is going to be the eye test. Now, I watched every snap of Zach Wilson this season, and I just spent the last 80 minutes or so going back on YouTube game by game and watching every Justin Fields throw and run. That's not quite the same, but I do have a pretty good sample size, and I watched every throw and every run. Now, the first thing I want to mention, we already touched on it. Zach Wilson, end of the season, had a stretch of turnover-free football where the game just seemed to slow down for him. He was able to get through his reads, make better decisions, and avoid big mistakes. Justin Fields, the athleticism is immediately apparent. He can make all the throws, but how Zach looked pre-injury, kind of just overwhelmed and out of sync, Justin Fields pretty much looked like that the entire time he was on the field, with exceptions of a few highlights here and there. So I'm sure we probably would have seen that from Justin Fields if he didn't get hurt and he got to finish the season. I'm excited to see it from Justin next year, but we just didn't see it, and we saw it from Zach. So Zach Wilson gets the eye test, and he takes the win. It was a close one. I think both franchises feel like they have their franchise quarterback moving forward. I feel like if you ask both the Bears and the Jets, would you swap these two quarterbacks? They both would say no, and they both would be justified in that answer. If you would like to see more videos like that, please send this one a like. It would help other Jets fans see it. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and let's go Jets.